What's up, everybody? It's Suolaraketti here. Today we're going to talk about healing in Tarkov. This is by far one of the things that give new players the hardest time, and with the wipe coming around the corner, I want to make sure that someone makes a quick guide that you guys can easily access that will explain what healing does what, how to fix what injuries, and make sure that you guys go into the next wipe as ready as possible. Let's get into the video, and we're going to start off with point number 1 now. So the first thing in Tarkov that I want new players to understand is just basic healing. How do you get your left arm to go back up to 60 HP when it's been hurt? And that is going to be using things like the AI2 medkit, IFAK medkit, AFAK medkit, or Grizzly medkit. Now, there are some things to keep in mind. Each of these are going to have different durability values represented as HP values on the item, such as the AI2 having 100 and all the way up to the Grizzly with 1,800 HP. Now, these are going to be items that are going to bring your raw HP value for limbs back up. Now, there are some other effects that these can have, like the IFAK and AFAK kit, for example, bringing or stopping light bleeds, stopping heavy bleeds, that kind of stuff, as well as even the Grizzly being able to fix fractures. Now, to be honest, I don't necessarily recommend doing this consistently with these items, and the reason for that is it does take a large amount of durability away from the actual item itself. For example, if we look at the IFAK kit, this takes 210 HP away from the total 300 that this item has. This can lead to that item being gone and out of your inventory very quickly, whereas if you have a heavy bleed, you could just use a hemostatic applicator and get rid of it right away while saving you the durability on your IFAK. Now, this is again just the first kind of basic tip into how this works. This can be done on every limb, whether or not it's your head, thorax, left arm, or right leg, or left leg. Now let's get into point number 2, which is bleeding and how we stop the different types of bleeds that are within Tarkov. Tarkov has a couple different types of bleeds, 2 to be exact. There's a light bleed and a heavy bleed. Light bleeds do less damage over time, and heavy bleeds do more. They both act the same, but you need different items to fix these. Now, for light bleeds, you're going to be using things like the bandage or the army bandage. And then for heavy bleeds, you have the S-March, the Cat Tourniquet, and the Hemostatic Applicator. There's one more that we'll get into at the end of the video here that will actually fix all of these bleeds all at once while stopping new incoming bleeds at the same time. But I wouldn't recommend using this as a standard to fix your bleeds unless you have 2-3 bleeds all at the same time and you're close to dying anyway. That might be kind of like a last-ditch kind of resort to fix that bleed for you. So now that you kind of understand the different items that can stop your bleeding from your character, let's get into point number 3, which is going to be what happens if a character breaks a leg or an arm, and how do we fix that as well. Point number 3 is fractures. Now, this can happen if you fall from a high area and you break a leg. If you get shot, you might break your arm or leg, depending on where the bullet hit. And fracture is very, very straightforward and pretty easy to fix. The 2 main items that you're going to want to use to fix your fracture is the immobilizing sprint, which only has 1 use, but again, will fix that fracture, or the aluminum splint. This has a total of 5 uses, so you can fix 5 broken limbs with it. However, there is a couple other ways around it as well. You can fix a fracture with a Grizzly medkit like I had mentioned previously, but again, I don't necessarily recommend doing it a lot. The Grizzly is okay to do it with, just because it doesn't take a ton of durability from it, and the Grizzly has a ton of durability to begin with, as well as using a Serve 12 kit to fix a broken and blacked out limb, which we're going to get into in the next section here, which is going to be blacked out limbs. Blacked out limbs in Tarkov can happen whether you're in a gunfight or if you fall off a really high place. But how do we fix them? Well, there's two major ways that you can fix those: CMS kits and Serve 12 kits. Now, they do have a major difference. CMS kits are faster but restore less, while Serve 12 kits are slower but restore a lot more. So this basically breaks down to, if you use a CMS kit, you're going to be a little bit quicker to get back into the action, but you're not going to have as much health to the limb, meaning total health is less. Whereas with the Serve 12 kit, it takes a little longer, but you're going to have much more total health, especially if you have to surgery multiple limbs. All right, now let's talk a little bit about injectors, or basically health injectors that you can use. There's basically three main injectors that I would consider combat stims, maybe four, but the three that I'm going to cover are the Zagaustin, the Propital, and the ETGC combat stim. The Zagaustin is the one that I mentioned in the bleeding section. This one removes all current bleeds as well as prevents new ones. This is a great option if you just get out of a really hard fight and you have 2-3 bleeds and let's say you don't have much health left. Pop that, and then it'll make sure that your character stops bleeding, so you're not taking chip damage, but you're also going to not have any further bleeds for the next 180 seconds, meaning if you get into another fight along the way, you don't have to worry about bleeding from that fight. So it's a really great option if something like that happens to you. I tend to keep one in my injector's case in my secure container, but it isn't something that every player is going to have on them all the time. Now, the next one, Propital, is something that as soon as you do get to that point, I recommend having one with you. The reason for that is it gives you the painkiller effect, which basically means that if you do black out a leg, you can continue to run, move, and your aiming, if you have a blacked out arm, is not affected. On top of that, you also continuously restore 1 point of health to make sure that your character is constantly regenning and you're not falling after every single engagement. Beyond that, there is a step above the Propital, which is the ETGC. This injector is much better at bringing your health back up. As an example, this gives you 6.5 health recovery every second. This ensures that your character is regaining health at a much faster rate and ensures that you, as the player, don't need to spend as much time healing or potentially no time healing whatsoever. As a bonus sixth point here, I do want to mention this to any new players or someone maybe who hasn't played Tarkov in a while and doesn't remember, but there are two vital areas that if they get fully blacked out during a fight, they will be gone. The thorax, which has a base total of 85 health, and your head, which has a base total of 35 health. If either of these get blacked out during a fight, you are dead and your character is dead. However, if these get blacked out as a result of a bleed, you are basically on a death timer. This means that you can still extract the raid, but you will die after a certain amount of time. So, if that ever happens, I do typically recommend finding a bush and stashing any gear that you insured so you get it back the next day. Or if you're really close to your extract, you could make a mad sprint to it and get there and get out of the raid and save everything. But this is just a bonus little thing I wanted to throw in at the end here, just so that way everybody understands how death essentially works in Tarkov. And that's it for the video. I wanted to make this just really quick so that way any new players coming in with this next wipe had a great guide to be able to look at and understand the basics of healing in Tarkov. Tarkov has a very complex medical system, and so I wanted to make sure that I actually put together a little video that explained how that all worked. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. On this screen is actually a link to a video as to 5 reasons that you should be playing Tarkov right now. So give that a click and just enjoy that video as well. It does go over some of the main reasons why I think that this is the perfect time that you should get started before the wipe. So have a great rest of your day. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.